Some people are said to be lucky, while others put in the effort to make things happen. How did an orphan work tirelessly hard to move from a Mr. Nobody to become the MD of a bank? Eventually established a multi-billion naira valued finance house whose branches dot many cities in the country. Sit down and watch as the story unfolds in this video. The setting was Lagos, Nigeria. Ade was a hard-working Nigerian boy living with his parents in Lagos. He had a number of uncles who worked in the banking industry. He knew his parents were not buoyant enough to see him through a university education, but all hope was not lost for him. He was a very ambitious young man and very serious with his educational pursuits. He had seen some older ones placed in a similar situation like him. They had finished their school certificate exam, done well in the exams, got employment in the banking industry, and had soared to unbelievable heights. He has therefore set his eyes on this trajectory and believed he could go that route to reach his dream world. Unfortunately, tragedy struck and Ade lost both parents in very sad circumstances. The parents had attended a wedding ceremony of a relative. A party was held where foods were served. After eating the food, a number of guests immediately fell ill and were hospitalized. Those hospitalized included Ade's parents. Unfortunately for Ade, his parents were among a number of guests that were hospitalized but did not make it back. Ade discovered that he had lost his parents, his only hope. He felt his life disintegrating right in his front. He saw his dream collapsing as his parents were the ones responsible for his educational expenses and the parents were gone for good. But Ade was still hopeful. After the burial of the parents, Ade became a homeless orphan. He had this uncle who was very close to the family. Uncle John was the way he was addressed. Uncle John was gracious enough to take him in. He took him not because it was convenient for him to do so. Uncle John, at that point, lives in a small apartment that harbors him, his wife, and 6 children. He operates a small business which gives him a modest income, barely enough to take care of his household. Most often, his income was overstretched and he had to go borrowing to augment. It was under this circumstance that Ade appeared in the scene. Ade's appearance was not really convenient for Uncle John, as one can see from the above. But Uncle John had this obligation which he owed Ade's parents. It will therefore be very disappointing if he fails to come to their son's assistance in these trying times. It is on record that Uncle John had a similar experience like Ade back in the day. Ade's parents have not only harbored him, but had also ensured that he completed his secondary school education. One can now begin to see why he was going beyond his convenience level to lend a hand to Ade. But there is a caveat. Ade must render assistance by helping to boost Uncle John's business through hawking. Ade had no choice under the circumstance but to agree. He had to hawk to keep body and soul together. Fortunately, hawking itself was another form of education which school does not teach anyone. It teaches one prudence and to be streetwise. Nobody send you message. Out in the streets hawking, you are absolutely on your own. If you no shine your eye, Lagos will teach you lesson. Ade learned a few of these lessons and had since graduated. How? I can hear you asking. Lesson 1. One day he was walking his wares. A scruffy looking guy sitting by the roadside beckoned on him to come. He wanted to buy something worth about 100 naira from Ade and gave Ade 1000 naira. Ade had hardly sold any of his wares at that point and so had no small notes on him. The guy was furious and said to Ade in one of those rude manners, "Na me send you message? Abeg go look for change, joor. Put your market down, go look for change." Ade in his innocence back then dropped and kept his wares in the custody of the man and went looking for change. By the time he came back, man and wares were gone. The consequences for Ade were left to the imagination. Lesson number 2. One day, as he was walking the streets and selling his wares, some guys who looked like hoodlums grabbed him from behind. They said he was flouting the rules of the local government against street trading. They ended up collecting all that he sold for that day and carted away his wares. Lesson number 3. One day, Ade had finished hawking for the day. It was getting dark and one could hardly see. A man called him aside and requested to buy goods worth 1000 naira. The transaction does not require that any balance or change be given to the man. It was therefore hurriedly consummated. Ade went away feeling very happy that he had sold off most of his wares for that day. At home, he discovered that the money the man gave to him was fake. I could go on and on. The education one gets on the streets of Lagos are endless but helps build the man in you. Even in hardship, Ade never forgot his dreams of working in the bank. After each day's hawking, he comes back home, picks up his books and studies far into the nights. He was a guy with lots of energy and does not fail to deploy his extra energy to his studies. When asked once what kept him going in those dark days, he responded that he made a promise to his dad to become the MD of a bank and that he was not going to disappoint. He kept the examination in view and continued to work towards it. All the while, Ade was prudent and had been putting monies aside to help him pay for the examination fees when the time comes. He had no other person but himself to run to. Even at the cost of starvation, he had to gradually put something aside against the examination fees. He wasn't going to ask Uncle John for assistance. He felt that Uncle John has already done enough for him. Any other thing was in his own hands. Eventually, Ade put in for the examination. He took the exams and passed all the papers in flying colors. The success in the exams gave him an encouragement and kept dreams alive. Back in the day, it was easy to get employed in the banking industry with the type of grade he made in the school certificate exams. He applied to one of the banks and was invited for an interview. When the interviewer asked him why he specifically wanted to work in the bank and not any other place, he was very firm in his response. He said it was a lifelong dream which he promised his now deceased father. He has no intention of disappointing him in his grave. When the interviewer heard him and saw his resolve and determination, Ade was immediately employed. Thus ended an interesting life of hawking. The next critical phase of his life has just begun. In the bank, Ade turned out to be a very diligent worker. He was not only diligent on the job, but very respectful to customers. He handled them with the type of maturity that was far and above that of his peers. Not long after, his supervisors began to notice the potentials in him and began to use him as the go-to person. To most challenges, they will say, make you go ask Ade, him go sabi do am. He eventually registered for the banking examination. This has all the while been part of his greater dreams to higher heights. Once started, he began to burn the midnight oil and would not allow anything be an obstacle on his way. His social life, for instance, was curtailed. Most of his colleagues will go out drinking and partying, but Ade will not. He had focus and was not going to allow any distraction. With that came some promotions and higher responsibilities. Not too long after, he was promoted and asked to go and head a branch, an assignment which most people of his age and experience in the bank were not allowed to do. He carried out most of these assignments beautifully. On several occasions, when asked what was responsible for his high-flying performances, he would tell them that it was mainly because of the promises he made to his deceased parents and that he will never disappoint. Before long, Ade passed his final papers in the professional exams. Having completed that course of study in banking, he was awarded a certificate and recognized as a chartered banker, a recognition that opened doors for him in the banking industry. At the same time, the bank was sending him on various courses, both at home and abroad. While all these were going on, Ade did not forget his dreams of becoming a bank MD. Each time he remembered that dream, it energized him to do more. While he continued to work hard, his performances were regularly getting to the meetings of the bank's board of directors. It was not a surprise when the substantive MD was to go on retirement and Ade was tipped for that position. Immediately, the existing MD's term expired. Ade was appointed by the board to replace him. From the position of a hawker in the streets, but with a very big ambition, he became a bank's MD at the very top of the corporate ladder. It was a dream come true. As a bank MD, Ade ran the bank in a very efficient manner. His performances were outstanding even at that level. He took the bank from the level he met it to an unbelievable level within a short period of time. While the ovation was still sounding, he decided to resign from the bank and founded his own finance house. Within a few years, his finance house, which started with just one branch in Lagos, now dots many other cities in the country and some cities in other West African countries. In closing, Ade's story is a lesson to all that through hard work and perseverance, anyone can rise from a Mr. Nobody in the streets to a Mr. Somebody in many human endeavor in no distant future. Thank you very much for listening. Please like, share, and let others know about it.